All right. Welcome to episode 20. Um Two things. Excuse the tiredness. In case we look tired cuz we're most likely are. Um and in ignore background noise, and if we randomly cut off it's cuz we lost power. Giant storm going on right now. Um but yeah, we episode 20, this is coming after a very chaotic NASCAR weekend and a very interesting NBA playoffs. So I know Dad was not too happy with NASCAR and was probably looking forward to pressing the little red button that says live. Um, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, first off,
I can't hear you through your mic. Technical difficulties. So yeah, this year was not this year. This week was All Star Weekend for NASCAR, and to be honest, NASCAR could not have done any worse of a job for a NASCAR race. Format was confusing. Like, some of the biggest NASCAR fans did not understand the format. Um, All Star drivers did not feel like it was an All Star race. I think there's one driver who said, "When did the All Star race even begin?" Um, just and they had it at Dover, which is nicknamed the Monster Mile, and there's a reason it's called the Monster Mile. It's because it's probably the most accident prone track on the NASCAR schedule. And the only guy that can really race there is Denny Hamlin. Like, when NASCAR announced that it would be at that All Star Weekend would be at Dover, only one person was excited about that, and that was Denny Hamlin. And if you win the All Star race, your team gets a free $1 million. So they probably had this weekend circled that 11 team. And you ready to talk, Dad? Got it figured out?
I'm trying to pull up. I'm trying to pull up the format here so we can start on a level playing field, so everybody kind of knows what was what. So it's according to NASCAR.com. So we are very tired. So NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports officials announced the format for the 2026 NASCAR All Star Race at Dover Motor Speedway. And this is NASCAR.com, including a 350 lap main event broken into in race, quote unquote, segment. Are you having trouble now, folks? Just laugh with us. Including an enhanced qualifying session featuring the Pit Crew Challenge, the NASCAR Cup Series exhibition with a $1 million prize on the line, transition from North Carolina, North Wilkesboro Speedway, which hosted the All Star race from 23 to 25, to Delaware's Monster Mile. So the way it works is the qualifying works like this: the pit crew with the fastest pit stop and no penalties, including like a qualifying lap that determined the pit selection and order for the All Star race. And here's where it goes off the rails, folks. In place of an All Star Open, qualifying results will instead determine the full field for segment one, a 75 lap sprint as part of a 350 lap event. Following the conclusion of segment one, a second, so the same exact thing, a second 75 lap dash will occur. The lineup for segment two will be an inversion of segment one. So, what that means is if you finish in the back of segment one, you start at the front of segment two and on down. It's an inversion, with the remaining drivers lined up by finish to set the 26 car field. The final, are you already confused? Because I am. The final 200 lap segment of the 2026 All Star race will consist of 26 total drivers, no matter what, and will include a competition break at or around lap 75. The field for the final segment will include 2025 and 2026 race winners, former Cup Series champions who compete full time, a fan vote winner, and remaining drivers based on the lowest combined finishing positions among segments 1 and 2. When the combining of the results of segments 1 and 2, if there's a tie, the first tiebreaker is the best finish in either segment, and a second tiebreaker is the best finish in segment 1. So ideally, C. Bell won the 2025 All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. So those who should have been locked into the show, Jeremiah, in alphabetical order, are C. Bell, Josh Berry, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Shane Van Gisbergen, Denny Hamlin, Carson Hocevar, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, and Bubba Wallace.
How many of those guys did you just name were in the final show yesterday?
There are two glaring ones that were not. So, folks, I'm just going to tell you, it was incredibly confusing, and not just for us. Denny Hamlin, who won the event, won the $1 million, won the All-Star race.
Repeated at Dover.
He's incredibly good at Dover. He, in his post-game or post-race comments, was like, did you know where segment 1 ended? Did you know where segment 2 ended? Did you know where lap 150 was? Because I didn't. He said, did you know when the main show began? Because I didn't. It was basically a 350 lap race with a boatload of confusion. Jeremiah, I've talked a lot. What do you think about what you saw, just to give them a break from hearing my voice?
I had no idea what I was watching. I turned it on a little bit the other day, and I thought it was just another race. They just threw All Star onto it just to get All Star out of the way.
Yep.
I tried to keep up with it on NASCAR, on the NASCAR app, and I'm like, where's the All Stars? Why am I watching Eric Jones go lap for lap with Denny Hamlin
right
in the main event? And I'll respect Eric Jones, but Eric Jones in the 42 recently has not been an all-star caliber driver. I'm just wondering, what am I like? And then why am I watching Ty Dillon be in the main show? Why am I watching the guy who's 30th in points right now run in the all-star moment? Same with Connor Zilisch. All respect Connor Zilisch. He's a good driver. He's not an all-star in the Cup Series right now. So I just feel like NASCAR tried to just throw all-star on this and get all-star out of the way.
It was very much like a normal race. Chase Elliott before the race, he and Bubba Wallace kind of said the same thing in a little bit different ways, but Chase said of all the all-star races he's been in, this one feels the least like an all-star race. He said it feels like a normal weekend. It feels like a normal Sunday, a normal Cup race, a normal weekend on the schedule where we're just out here racing. So to give kind of further undergird what Jeremiah just said, let me do it this way. Let me give you the top 26 in standings right now. Jeremiah did this last night on our drive back. Here's the top 26 in standings.
So
right?
if they did the All-Star race off of points, they didn't do former winners and all that. This is who would have been in the All-Star race, and you might want to slow it down or just listen very carefully. But you're about to hear names that were not in the All-Star race.
Yeah, some of these, again, not in the All-Star race. Jerry, you want to read them all, or want to do half and half? How you want to do it?
We can do half and half.
All right. You want to start, or you want me to start?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'll do 1 through 13, and Jeremiah can do 14 to 26. So again, these are the guys who are running up front. These are the guys winning races. These are the guys who are winning stages. These are the guys who are accruing stage points. These are guys with multiple wins this year. These are former champions. And here they are, 1 through 13 in order. Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, Carson Hocevar, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Ryan Preece.
Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, SVG, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, Austin Dillon, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, and then Todd Gilliland.
So keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. We're trying to build something, aren't we, Jared?
Mm-hmm. The reason Eric Jones is in there is probably because he got second.
Yeah.
So these are updated.
So here are the final. Here's the rundown. Let's call it that of yesterday's quote unquote all-star race. Jerry, you want to do the same thing? 13 and 13.
Yeah.
You want to do the first ones this time?
Yeah, I can do the first
Okay.
ones.
You got it there. Or you need this.
I'm right now pulling it up.
Okay. So
Why it pulled up? Okay, you're gonna have to start. It pulled up
Okay.
Watkins going for me.
So in order, 1 through 26, as they finished yesterday in the All-Star race. Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Connor Zilisch, Austin Cindric, William Byron, Michael McDowell, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, top 10. Noah Gragson, AJ Allmendinger, and Ryan Blaney.
All right. Carson Hocevar, Ty Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, SVG, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, Joey Logano, and Kyle Larson.
The elephant in the room, not just because I'm a giant fan of his, but because this guy is a champion. When the format was different in the playoffs, a perennial, championship 4 contender, has already won twice this year, is third in points. Chase Elliott,
NASCAR's most popular driver
NASCAR's most
ever since
popular
he
driver
stepped into the sport.
since Junior retired, did not make the show. Ross Chastain, a perennial race winner, has won the Coke 600, one of the crown jewels of the event. A perennial, every year he's in the playoffs. For Trackhouse, Ross Chastain, Hale Mellon, was not in the show. Reason being, they were wrecked out in one of their 75 lap segments. I believe Chase was in 2 wrecks on lap 2 and lap 73. So again, we want you to notice the discrepancy between those who actually made the race.
Also, from those segments, some of the cars on here went in damaged.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bubba did for sure.
Larson for sure did.
I think Larson wrecked down in segment 1. They just threw him in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know who else, but a lot of the cars that were in here came in damaged, and over half of the guys, I think Hocevar down, in the final standings were all a lap down at least. So it was a weekend.
With all due respect to all of these drivers, because these guys, no matter where they are, if they're on a NASCAR Cup track in a NASCAR Cup car, they are the best in the world at what they do. But you can say the same thing about the NFL, All-Stars, Pro Bowl. You can say the same thing about the NBA. It's the elite of the elite. You can say the same thing about Major League Baseball, and on and on and on. I do not believe every single race car driver is an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I believe that there are some that are better than others, whether it's equipment or just raw skill.
That's the way it works in other sports.
Or a combination. That's the way it works in other sports. This is the equivalent of any other major sport. Pick it. Any other major sport. Throwing everybody onto their respective field and saying, go for it. It's exactly what happened. And because of that, you had guys who should have not even had to be in one of the segments wreck out and were not able to be in the main show.
Larson wrecked out on lap 2. He only got to do 2 laps at 350, thing.
Right. Because you have drivers desperate who don't have the best equipment, who are bonsaiing into the corner 3 and 4 wide at Dover, which is not a multi-groove racetrack. If you go 3 wide there, you're chancing it. But bonsaiing in because they're trying to make the show, and calamity happens, and you have 2 of the sport's brightest stars who don't even make the show, and multiple time champions at the back of the field, race winners at the back of the field, a 5-time winner this year in Tyler Reddick at the back of the field, a road course champion, worldwide, one of the best drivers in the world, champion at the back in SVG. And then in the middle of the field, you have guys that are 25th or worse in points. 20th or worse in points. Middle of the pack.
Ricky Stenhouse and Ty Dillon that far.
Middle of the pack at best, finishing in the middle of the field. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Again, please understand what I'm saying. These guys are the best in the world at what they do, every single one of them. But as you said, Jeremiah, this is true for every single major sport. Some excel. It's almost like the participation trophy. Not every driver is an all-star driver. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Allmendinger, 12th. Noah Gragson at the back of the points, 11th.
This format was fine if they kept it, one, more organized, and B, if they treated the 75 lap shootouts like actual 75 lap shootouts.
That is the answer. I'm okay with maybe even giving Dover. I don't want to blame Dover. I don't want to blame the track. The track had nothing to do with it. Are there better tracks? Yes. Dover, my understanding, doesn't even have lights. And this is a personal preference. I think the All-Star race should be run at night on a Saturday night.
You're not the only one who thinks that.
And if not a Saturday night because of, ratings or whatever, put it on a Sunday night. It should be a prime time night race, and Dover doesn't offer that. But I'm okay, but I don't want to blame Dover.
Well, they started at 1 o'clock, which for NASCAR, 1 o'clock is
normal,
early normal start.
Normal start. It looked like a normal race, Jared.
Yeah.
It didn't. Nothing at this screamed all-star race. If you were not a fan and you just turned it on, I think it's embarrassing. You're with me? This is their all-star race, and they're wrecking out like the most popular driver in the sport, right? Chase Elliott. Pick the most popular person in your favorite sport. Imagine that person not being in the all-star race.
It's like Shohei not making the all-star in the
That's
MLB.
exactly what it's like. Go ahead. Go sport by sport. It's like McDavid not being in the NHL.
LeBron in the NBA and
Wemby being
Mahomes in the
NFL. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So it was a mess. It was a train wreck. Jer alluded to this. We have, for what it's worth, we have a simple solution. And I think NASCAR sometimes, like we can all do, outthinks themselves. I think sometimes they assume what the fans want, or they think the fans want to change that nobody's really asking for. And I get wanting to try new things because, hey, sometimes it works. But on Sunday, Jeremiah, it did not.
I mean, it's bad when you're a race winner and Denny Hamlin, who's been in the sport for, 21, 22 years, says, when did the event even start?
He asked him, he said, do you know when the event started? He said, go look at his post-race interview. And he said, look at your rundown. You have 38 cars on your rundown, and I'm going to insert this. That is not an all-star race. It's not. It's just not. Yeah. Only 21 cars were running at the end. Only 21 cars. That's a train wreck for your all-star race.
All the guys who were out in that final race were all all-stars.
All-stars. And a couple of them multi-time champions. It's not a good look. But I think the answer is simple. I know a lot of folks are clamoring for a return back to Charlotte. I am one of them. I don't know how Jared feels about it.
I'm with you. Because, this format was okay. The only thing I would do is if you're locked in, you're not racing until the final show.
And that's the point. You just crushed it. That's the crucial point. Why are guys who are multi-time winners this year, right? Multi-time champions, why are they having to race in these first segments? Like, if you can answer that question for me,
2311 swept the segments anyways. Bubba won segment 1 and
Yeah.
Reddick won segment 2.
why are those guys even in the
Why are they
segments?
even
though?
in there?
Why? They're race winners. They made the playoffs last year. They're
Both
annual.
made like the round of 8 last year.
They're annual playoff contenders. Both those guys are a championship threat because 2311 is so good this year, even Reddick aside. And Jeremiah, that's my point. That is my point. Is why are those guys even racing in the main?
Well, Larson got the worst of it. He wrecked out on lap 2.
Yeah. And they threw him out there with a hobbled car, and he just limped around to finish 26. Arguably, not just Cup, one of the greatest drivers on the planet, because he was in that segment. Same with Chase, same with Chastain, same with others. They did not get to shine in the main, which fans pay to come see these guys, right?
He didn't pay to come see Ty Dillon finish in front of
With
their
all
favorite
due
driver.
respect, no. When you go to a racetrack, you go to the haulers, you go to the fan zone, and just look at the lines outside of some drivers and the frankly lack of lines outside of some driver merchandise haulers. And without fail, Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott will have some of the longest lines if you go to their merch trailers, their merch haulers, because they're two of the best, because they're two of the fan favorites. But let's just face it, they're two of the best. They should not have had to be in the main, and the same is true of so many other drivers. So my answer is, I think, take it back to Charlotte. But okay, let's give Dover another shot. You know, let's not blame the innocent bystander, which is Dover. Dover can't help it. Everybody knows what Dover is. My answer is change the language, change the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of segment 1 and 2, you have heat races just like you do at any short track across the country. NASCAR's done this before. NASCAR's done this at the Clash. So it's not new to NASCAR. It's not new to short track guys. It's not new to drivers. So let's just say the guys who are locked into the show, no matter what, they're in the main, are, let's say there's 20 locked in. Everybody who made the playoffs the year before, those who won a race the year before, those who won a pole the year before. And if need be, Jeremiah and I differ on this a little bit. If you need it, if you're a previous champion in the last 5 years, if you need it, I can take it or leave it.
I'll put a van vote in there somewhere.
Put a what?
Van vote.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that. So those guys are locked in. They don't. Why do they have to race into the main show, right? So what you do is everybody that's not everybody that does not fit that criteria, okay? Everyone who does not fit that criteria, you're in one of them. They're one of the opens. You take the field, you cut them in half, you do a draw, you do whatever. I don't care how you do it, but you put them in 2 heat races. Divide the rest of the 40 cars, 38 cars in half. Heat 1, heat 2. They can qualify. I don't care how you set it up, but the winner. My phone is ringing twice. But the winner of each of those heat races is in the main show. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fill out that last spot, Jeremiah, to your point, with an all-star, with a fan vote, right? What do you think, Jer?
I agree with it. My only thing of like the past champions thing is the Kyle Busch part, because
Right.
Kyle Busch, he's won a well, not within the past 5 years, but he's won a championship. But all respect to Kyle Busch, he's one of the best drivers to ever get inside a NASCAR, and just recently he has not been all-star level. That's why I differ on the champions part a little bit. But and if we were to do the last 5 champions, it would really not make much a difference, because that would put in Kyle Larson. Well, that would put in Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson,
Blaney,
Joey Logano, Blaney,
twice, and Larson
So-
twice. Yep.
and so it just wouldn't make much of a difference right now.
Well, in that format,
so-
Bush would not be in.
Yeah,
You know,
either way.
He'd have to win his main or get the fan vote.
Yeah.
But it's that simple.
But
And
like
again,
that's the example I'm throwing out though, is like if they did do like the past 5 champions and something like that were to happen, like if we did this in 2023, 2024 when he was in
mhm.
when he was in RCR, he still would have made it with a win, but if he was racing like he did now, at that time he would still make it into the All Star because of that 2019 championship.
And when NASCAR's done this before, like at the Clash at Bowman Gray, for example, it is some of the greatest racing. Those two open races are some of the greatest racing that you will see in your life. And then the main are all those all-star drivers that meet that criteria, plus the winner of each open and the all-star fan vote winner. And I think that solves all of these problems. I don't care where you race it. I think Charlotte's best because Charlotte is home for so many of these drivers and crews and whatever. But all that to say, if NASCAR powers that be are listening, consider it, right? The last thing I'll add, Jer, because the last thing I can think of is I think I would add one more. We talked about this last night too. I would add one more element that has two parts to the All Star race. I would make it where I would have the drivers. I would have drivers. Let me put it this way: I would have drivers from the Cup, O'Reilly's, and Truck Series in the All Star race together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at first, you might say that's crazy. Trucks are slower than O'Reilly's. O'Reilly's slower than Cup. I know.
That's the point.
That's the point. If you watch sports car racing, if you watch the 24-hour Daytona, not every car out there is the same, and that's the point. Oh, but it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. These are the best drivers on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a Cup guy, for whatever reason, wrecks out, and a truck guy or gal finishes ahead of them. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and that's simple. You can have them race in those other series if you want, but I would not. I would have the 10 truck drivers, or I think they have 10. The previous year, the 10 truck teams, because I know drivers change. All right,
Very
would-
constantly in trucks.
I would have the 10 teams. Like last year, you lost Corey Heim, but you picked up just Caden Honeycutt.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna fuss about that swap. I would have all the teams from O'Reilly's and from Truck that made the playoffs the year before. You're in the main. If you want to spice up and do some heat races, fine. I don't care. But the main show would be the Cup format that we've talked about a couple times ad nauseum now. And the drivers in the O'Reilly series or teams in the O'Reilly series and Truck series that made the playoffs the year before and turn them loose. That would be incredible.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that what I think that's what Moody and Junior are really trying to advocate for is that mixed grid.
Yeah.
And if they were to take that to Charlotte, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, two of the greatest ambassadors of the sport, Dale Earnhardt Jr. for sure. Dave Moody, who is one of the. If you don't know him, look him up. He has a show every day on Sirius XM 1090. He's a turn announcer for MRN and NASCAR, an incredible voice for the sport. These guys are saying the same thing that Jeremiah and I are saying right now. That put them all on the same track, just like they do for sports cars. You have GTs and you have different cars that are on the track at the same time. And just like you said so perfectly, Jeremiah, oh, it's hard. Oh, it's difficult. Oh, there's different speed. That's the point. It's not supposed to be easy. It's an all-star race. The
'Cause
best of the best.
There's a chance in a truck finishes ahead of a O'Reilly's car,
Yeah.
you know?
Anything can happen.
And there's a chance that a truck could finish even ahead of a Cup car.
Absolutely.
So
Anything can happen.
it would be a lot of fun.
It'd be a lot of fun. And you'd have moving chicanes out there. It's hard. That's the point. Tell me a truck driver wouldn't want to prove his merit and go up against the Cup or an
Mhm.
O'Reilly's. Tell me that wouldn't be
Think
just.
about what that could do for other teams too. You could watch you know what guys to look after. Granted, it'll
Mhm.
probably be hard to get those guys out of their contracts, but like that could probably generate some like
Yeah.
all stars we've never seen before.
And
Because
you still have 3 all-star winners. Whoever finishes the highest in their respective, series, the highest running driver in that series. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
You're your all-star winner for your respective series.
Mhm.
It's simple.
Mhm.
It's simple. I just think everything was way too complicated, and I guess I can give Mahara credit for trying. But if they bring this back again next year, then I am losing some faith in the fact of whether or not NASCAR is really in touch with their fans. There's a few fans that loved it, but it seems like what I've read today, what I've heard today, what I've seen.
I think if you love
They're
it,
the
you're
minority.
probably you're a casual.
that, or you're a Denny fan. Like
Yeah,
if you look at that and say that was truly an all-star race, you're
'cause
going to have to explain to me how.
I saw where like someone on Instagram said that was perfect, and in their bio said proud Denny Glazer. So I'm like, I guess.
I mean, if you think that was another glaze, but if you think that was if you think that was a true all-star race where our best drivers brought their best stuff, then you have to explain to me how.
Because in what world I'm just gonna probably pick on him a little bit more. But in what world do you see like Ty Dillon or AJ Allmendinger right now being one of the top 26 drivers in NASCAR? So Allmendinger, he's won NASCAR races, but they took his favorite track off, and he hasn't won a race since then. You know?
And if they think they are, all right, great, get in your heat and prove it. Right? Prove it. Oh, the better.
That's NASCAR for you. So off to the NBA.
This is all you, Jer. Our Pistons lost.
Yeah.
Lost big time. That was ugly.
So yeah, the Pistons got
Ugly.
belt last night in Detroit
At home. Yeah.
at home.
Lost by 26,000 points, I think it was. I think they're still losing.
They lost by 20. They lost by 31 in Detroit.
Yeah, I think they're still losing.
So yeah, Cade Cunningham was very disappointing in that. I think he shot like 6 of 16.
I just think Cade was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Cade averaged.
I just think he was exhausted.
Look, right now, I don't think Jalen Duren is enough help for Cade Cunningham. After how Jalen Duren played in the playoffs, their next best offensive player was Azure Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Azure's a good player, but I'm sure a lot of us can agree he doesn't have a jump shot. He can finish around the rim, but that's about the only thing you see from Azure Thompson. Because I haven't seen an NBA team treat him as a threat from three. And so outside of Cade, their next best like shooter is Tobias Harris, who is 34 years old.
To your point, if you're playing Kentucky, if you're playing Detroit, all you gotta do is take away Cade.
That's what Cleveland did.
And you could talk about, there's a couple deals where there are some legitimately terrible flopping going on, where people fall after shooting a 3,
mm-hmm.
and then nobody touches them, and then their teammate slips in their sweat. But all that aside, I just think the Pistons right now, they go as Cade goes, and I just think you can't play 40 minutes for 14 games, 2 7-game series. Detroit's lucky they didn't lose to the Magic in 6. I mean, that miracle comeback. I think you hit it right on the head. Based on my limited knowledge of NBA basketball, you got to get him some help. Doesn't have to be a superstar,
mm-hmm.
but you've got to get him some legitimate help. But here's my thing, Jer. It seems like the Pistons have a ton of chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to the players, Duncan Robinson was like, our greatest secret weapon is how much like we care for each other
mm-hmm.
and how selfless we are. And Bickerstaff has brought that in, and Bickerstaff has changed that culture. He's the unsung hero of what's happened with Detroit basketball in the past 2 or 3 years with this turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few years ago, this team lost 28 games in a row or something like that. Historically bad.
I think they're the worst team in history, actually.
So you've got to find a way, not just go get a guy because you can, because you're not that far off, right? I mean, you're the number 1 seed.
I just think they need to develop their guys because it's like what I said with Azure. If they develop that dude's offensive game, he's already a lot of people say he's the best perimeter defender in the
mm-hmm.
league. And if a guy in San Antonio didn't exist, he'd be the best defender in the league.
Right.
And I just think if they develop Azure, build that jump shot, continue to make his inside game more dangerous like it is. Like we saw, he jumped from the mid-range and just slammed it home against Atlanta. I just think if they develop his shooting, then Azure Thompson will be great
mm-hmm.
help for Cade. And I say they keep Tobias, but right now, like the reason I said Jalen Duren isn't enough is because in the regular season he averaged 19 and 12, but in the playoffs he averaged 10 and 8
mm-hmm.
and lost out on a giant supermax.
Yeah, and again, their problem is not defense. Their problem is not effort or hustle or anything like that. Their problem, I think you said, is on the offensive side of the floor. Inexperience. They've not been there before. This young team, But I think you have to go get a guy, but you don't have to rush. You don't have to be panicked. You don't have to just go get whoever. Um, you're close, right? I mean, you lost in Game 7 of the semifinals. You're one game away
to Donovan Mitchell and
to
James Harden.
to a
just
red
being
hot
there a lot.
Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, they've been hot for a while, since they got Harden, I think. But you're close, so you don't have to hit the panic button right now. You're not hitting the reset button. You've got the pieces in place. Again, number one seed. You're 5 games away from the NBA Finals. So I just hope that they don't react too quickly, hit the panic button, because they're there, right? They're there, but they do. I agree. Need a piece to just help take some of that pressure and continuing to develop these guys. Yes, but you need to. I think you need to go get a piece who's been there, who's got that experience. Maybe a veteran on the twilight of his career, but still has a couple years left to give. I think you go get a guy like that who's selfless, and I think he can be that missing piece the Pistons need to put him over the top.
Because all respect to Tobias Harris, I love that dude with him being a former Vol. But if Tobias Harris right now is your second best scorer, he's still a good scorer. Don't get me wrong, he can get you a good 16, 18 points a game, but he's like 34 years old. So if you got Cade and then your next best option is either Dennis Jenkins or Tobias Harris, something's not right. Um, and it was rough for Detroit last night, and but yeah, I don't think they need to panic. And earlier today, I got a notification from Bleacher Report that said Bickerstaff is not on the hot seat, and the first thing
No.
that came to my mind is why would he be?
He just signed an extension,
Um,
didn't he?
Yeah, he just signed an
So, yeah.
extension. They were the number one seed, um, and so they were the number one seed,
Well,
and
this whole
I don't
region,
get why he
we
would
live
be.
close to Detroit. This whole region loves the Pistons. Like it is, they love them. So, um, everybody's disappointed. But even Bickerstaff says, look, this is not a disappointment. He felt like the term disappointment took away from what his guys had achieved, not just this year, but how far they've come in the past few years. And like he said, only one team's going to win the championship, the Larry O'Brien. Every team has that goal, but only one team is able to do it, and they just came up short. Sometimes that happens.
So I think that's everything on Detroit.
Yeah. It hurt.
But yeah, the conference finals are set. After that, you got the Thunder playing the Spurs,
One,
and
two
then
seed,
you got the Knicks playing the Cavs, which I think is a
3-4.
think so.
I think so too.
'Cause the 2 seed was the Celtics. So yeah, I think
3
it's
was
three
Knicks, 4
four.
was Cavs, 5 was I don't know.
Yeah. So who do you have winning those series? And if you want to, who do you have winning it all in June?
Yeah. I think the Thunder versus Spurs series is going to be epic.
Whoever wins that wins it all.
I think so. I really do. The Knicks, I hate to put it this way, but they've gotten so lucky. In their round, they were the 3 seed, so they had to be the 6 seed, Atlanta. In the second round, they had to play a 7 seed because Philadelphia beat Boston. So, with all due respect to those teams, they've played a 7 seed and a 6 seed. And now they're coming in to play this Cavs team. With that being said, I think you can argue that the Knicks are playing some of the best basketball right now and have been for quite some
They
time.
didn't. They looked untouchable though in those both series. Like you're right. They played a seventh and a sixth seed, but look at the final score of
I
those
agree.
games.
They beat who they're supposed to beat. So I'm going to give that edge to the Knicks, because the Cavs are really fortunate they didn't go home. I think they just hit a very tired Detroit team. But I'm going to give that edge to the Knicks. In the West, man, you can't ask for anything better. I'm going to go quick because you have a lot more to say to this than I do. I'm going to give the edge to the Thunder. I think these teams are close. I think OKC is a little bit better of a team, but for me, especially in playoffs, the main difference here that's going to put this or tip this in the favor of OKC is the experience. OKC's been there before. They won it last year. They've got now a 2-time reigning MVP. They've been through the battles. They've been to the finals. They've won it. They've been to the top of the mountain. They've had the best record in the league now for a couple years. This is all new for San Antonio, not as a franchise, but for this particular group of people and players and personnel, it's new. And I think because of that, because of that, I'm actually going to take the Thunder in 6. I think both these series are done in 6. So in my mind, I've got Thunder Knicks, and I think the Thunder roll. I don't see anybody beating. I don't see anybody beating the Thunder. Period. But I think the Thunder roll, and they cut down the Nets 2 years in a row and take home 2 Larry O'Brien.
I agree with you on the East, but I disagree with you on the West. I have the Spurs winning.
He's been on the Spurs all year, folks. He's not waffling here. He's been consistent for a long time on these Spurs.
I've been talking about the Spurs since like December. So
he's not being fair weather here, friends.
So like I called them in like November, I think. I think I said it on here.
Yeah.
But I mean
you're wrong, but it's okay to be.
I think with after how they played against the Wolves and how Wemby played in those last 2 games especially. I know the Wolves were a little hurt, but they won those last 2 games by like 40 points combined. And in the regular season too, the Spurs beat the Thunder in like 4-1 in a 5-game series in the regular season, and it got to the point where OKC was also saying the Spurs might be better than us. And I know Jalen Williams for OKC has been bouncing in and out of the lineup. I know he got upgraded earlier today to available, but I just think with how the Spurs played against the Wolves, if they continue that momentum, and if Wemby plays it how he played against OKC and against Minnesota, and hopefully not elbow anyone in their throat, but I think with how Wemby has been playing, and how the Spurs have the Thunder's number right now, as I would expect them to go with whatever plan they used in the regular season to beat them 4-1. But yeah, I think the Spurs pull off the upset and send the back-to-back MVP home.
I do agree on this. I think whoever comes out of that Thunder Spurs, that's your champion. Again, you have the 1 versus 2 seed in the West and the 3 and 4 seed in the East, but it's all about who's playing best right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So Jerry, you have here SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who played college basketball where?
Kentucky.
Where?
Kentucky, right? Was he one and done?
Not Tennessee. I can't remember. But SGA, Kentucky alum, has now won back-to-back MVPs. I didn't know this. Jared, you can speak to this. Joining Steve Nash, Magic Johnson, and Steph Curry, the only players all time to win back-to-back.
So he's the 4th point guard in NBA history to win back-to-back MVPs. So
what's crazy is not in a major market.
And I think if he wins the finals, he's the first point guard since Curry to win back-to-back MVPs and championships.
We've talked about this before, but Jeremiah, you have to give a shout out to the front office of the Oklahoma Thunder.
Sam Presti, bro.
This dude,
that Paul George trade was their entire team.
He deserved. They are still reaping players from. Was it the Harden trade? Who was
Paul
it?
George.
Paul George. Excuse me, Paul George. They are still reaping benefits and draft picks.
This year is their last pick from that Paul George trade.
Goodness gracious, did they win that deal?
Mm-hmm.
They're picking the lottery this year, right? Because of that deal. They're picking in the lottery.
Favorite to get the 12th
and they may win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Their head coach, I couldn't tell you his name.
I know his name. It's some weird name, but he's pretty good.
Wow. I mean, like, not Oklahoma City, folks, is not a major market. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Out on the plains, you know, they're certainly not Boston or LA or Chicago. Pick your major market teams.
Chicago ain't doing too hot right now either.
But I'm talking about major market areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, OKC, Oklahoma City is not one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing, this franchise, this front office, this coach, these players.
Well, I think the players too. I think they have chemistry too. Like it's a Detroit thing. They have chemistry. Like I think some of these guys are taking pay cuts just so they can pay teams. Like I think Jalen Williams took a pay cut last year, so they could pay a guy. I think Chet Holmgren did, but some of those guys in their core are taking pay cuts just so they can stay on top of the NBA. Because they could easily they can easily go like I can get more money here and be an all-star there at the same time. But they're choosing to stay here right now.
Well, if I'm a player like on the back end of my career or just kind of finishing my twilight, I want to be in OKC. right?
Mhm.
Where is a better opportunity to win right now in the NBA than in Oklahoma City? Nowhere.
And then I have one question for you. What do you think Shea's back-to-back MVPs? Because a lot of people say he like doesn't have the talent as other guys, but what do you think this does to Shea all time with him being a one-time champ and back-to-back MVP right now?
In my mind, realizing, I think you have to put personal things aside. You know, he may not have the flair of a superstar like a LeBron James, or SGA comes across to me as kind of quiet, kind of mild, kind of meek. You don't see a lot about him. Maybe I'm wrong. What you just don't. He's not out in the limelight. You know, am I wrong? I know he had the part of the Netflix deal,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not this boisterous, flamboyant, whatever. He just kind of shows up and does his job. So my encouragement and answer to that question would be lay your personal whatever expectations or preferences aside and look at the statistics. He just joined Hall of Famers, all-time greats, at a very difficult position to play, especially in today's NBA, where everybody has to be able to handle the ball. He just joined rarefied air with guys like Steve Nash, Magic Johnson, and Steph Curry. Three of the greatest, not just point guard position, but three of the greatest to ever do it. So I don't know how you can look at SGA if you were on the fence before. You know, a guy can win one MVP. Not that it's like easy, right? Understand me. But a guy can hit lightning in a bottle, be on a good team, and win one MVP. But to do it back to back, and let me back up. That's the one thing about OKC that impresses me the most is like the longevity. Like they've been good for a while now, and there is nothing in
Well,
their.
I did. Sorry to interrupt
No,
you,
you're
but
good.
I did some math when we lived in North Dakota. It was when they were getting this team like just together. Like I think Shea at the time was like I think he was like 25, 24, but he was one of the oldest guys on their team at that moment. I think I did that math like 2 years ago, and they came out to an average age of 22, and they were like rising to the top. So this team's average age now is 24, 24 and a half years old.
Mhm.
So they're still very young.
And still have draft like this year. Still have a couple draft picks, one in the top 12. They're going to get another quality guy
Especially in this draft
to come
class.
in there and play and help immediately. Um, but again, if you look at his statistics and those guys he's named with now, you have to. I don't know how you can't. You have to give him respect to do it back to back years when every night he gets everybody's best shot. He does. The reigning MVP, the reigning champion, SGA, and he just
A lot of hardware in that closet.
does his job. You know. So I don't know how you. I'm sure there are prognosticators and negative butts out there, but I don't know how if you just look at the stats, take your personal agenda aside and just look at what the man has done on the floor. He deserves respect, especially mentioned with those names right there.
Mm-hmm. And then next thing I have out there is Jamal Mosley, the former Magic head coach, being hired by the Pelicans. The Pelicans again in a giant rebuild since the Zion didn't work. But I know they have Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. So what do you think about a young team right now getting Jamal Mosley, a guy who just came off a first round exit? In my opinion, should not have been fired by Orlando.
That's my point right there.
So, what do you what do you think about that?
You just took all my thunder, no pun intended, because I know we just talked about OKC. Man, the Magic even letting this guy go.
Mm-hmm.
I know you lost the heartbreaker series to the Pistons. I know it seems like you can't get over the hump, but there are a lot of teams that would like to trade places with where the Magic have been the past couple of years. First round exits aside,
Pelicans are one of them.
a great young nucleus. You know, Bankero is going to be a stud. Already is. Has already shown himself in the playoffs to have that gut, that determination. So if I'm the Pelicans, I remember watching that or hearing about that. I'm like, the Magic just let this guy go.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody.
I think we talked about that on here too. We're like, it's not his fault that the team just played horribly.
They shot awful. It's going to happen. They should have won that series in 6. Yeah, but man, sometimes you just miss. Sometimes it's not your night. Sometimes things happen. I don't know how missing shots is the coach's fault. Again, there's probably adjustments you can make. Hindsight's always 20/20. But if I'm the Pelicans, I'm like, hey, thank you, right?
Mhm.
There's no pressure here to win yet. So just come in here and develop these guys and coach and do like you did to, get the Magic where they're making the playoffs every year. Granted, as a 6, 7, 8 seed, who cares? Um, I think the Pelicans won big,
Mhm.
but this guy should have never been available.
Because if the Pelicans stay healthy, this is they're probably not like a premier playoff team, but they're probably at the very worst a play-in team. Because when all of them are healthy, their starting five is Jeremiah Fears, a top 15 pick from last year, was in the Rising Stars game this year. DeJounte Murray, who is a offensive threat, but he's coming off, I think, an Achilles tear. They got Herb Jones. I think he's still on that team. Zion Williamson and Yves Messi or Derek Queen right there at the five. So I think this is a good pickup for the Pelicans, and they at the very worst they're probably a I don't know they're probably a play in maybe six seed.
Yeah.
So I think it was really good of a pick by the really good pick, really good pickup for the Pelicans.
Yeah, no, the Pelicans will have to be patient, their front
Mm-hmm.
office, their fans, because they're not going to get where they want to go overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got a guy who's proven, Orlando, not a major market. You don't think when you think about the NBA and powerhouses, you don't think about the Magic. But look what they've done the past few years in the playoffs. They made a lot of noise this year. Should have beaten Detroit. Um, yeah, I think the Pelicans are like, sweet. Hey, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Assist to Orlando.
And then the NBA draft is just over a month away. I know it happens a couple weeks after the finals. I think it's like June 23rd. But on most of the mock drafts I have seen, a lot of people have DeBonsta going to Washington, Peterson going to Utah, and Boozer going to Memphis. So what do you think on that top three? And do you think those teams are making the right pick for that area?
I am not the expert at this, so this may be a super hot take. And I mean, no disrespect again to either one of these three guys, because I'll never be able to hold these guys' socks. These guys are all unbelievable. I am just not as big on DeBonsta as others. I can't tell you why. I mean, he was, played for BYU. His team was okay. Um, Again, I'm not a scout. I'm not a basketball aficionado. None of that. I'm just not as high on DeBonsta as others. So that's me. If you ask me who the best player, and it's going to pain me so deeply to say this, but if you ask me who the best player in this draft is, it is Mr. Cameron Boozer, the freshman of Duke. If I am a GM and if I have all these options available to me, these top continuing on, I mean, fourth, Caleb Wilson, fifth, Wagler from Illinois. I mean, Darius Acuff Jr., point guard out of Arkansas. I mean, Fleming's out of Houston. I mean, it seems like Markel Brown out of Louisville, 8. Um, this is Nate Met. This seems like a really Yuxel Lindenberg. Oh, if he goes to OKC, holy moly.
Yeah, because like
Goodness.
Chet's already there and he's 7'1". Then you
Goodness.
got another 7-footer coming off the bench.
Mara, I can't stand this guy. Quentin's Kentucky just made a lot of money to sit on the bench last year. But Jared, to your point, I am just not as big on DeBonsta, and I know this is like saying, would you rather have just pick your high end anything? Would you rather have this or that? I don't think you're going to be able to go wrong. So I don't want to come across as disrespectful at all. But I'm not as big on DeBonsta. To me, Cam Williams or Boozer, excuse me, he's slightly ahead of these other players. What do you think?
Yeah. I think the Wizards are taking him though because they kind of need a small forward right now that can score the ball. And
That's a good point.
the next best small forward out of here is Nate Ament or Kareem Lopez. So I think they're just going with what's like best available for them.
Right.
And then the Utah Jazz, I'm gonna kind of jump over. If they get Peterson, that would be so good for that franchise because that's their starting two guard for the next couple of years. I know they have him listed as a point guard on here, but I see him more as a two guard because they already have Keontae George, who was an All Star last year. They have Ace Bailey from last year's draft. They still have Lowry Markkinen. They got Jaren Jackson Jr. at the trade deadline this year, and they have Walker Kessler, who is a walking 7-2 double double. So next year Utah's starting lineup could be Keontae George. You can probably change this out, but Ace Bailey or Darren Peterson, Larry Markkinen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler. That's probably what a play-in team. And if they develop right, and if Keontae George has a leap year next year, that's probably what, fifth seed maybe, fourth seed.
Yeah, definitely a young nucleus that
Mhm.
if you can play it right in the front office with your contracts and get these guys locked up for years, then you have a very, very like OKC. You know,
Mhm.
you could potentially have an OKC type situation where your young nucleus is locked up for a very long time and develop them because the skill, Jared, no doubt those guys are there. If they can develop together in the next 5 years, 7 years, Utah could be very dangerous.
Mhm. And then Memphis taking Cameron Boozer. If I was Memphis's GM, this is who I would take because we saw the chemistry with Jaw and Brandon Clark early in their careers. Um, so I think if they can pair up Jaw with another athletic big, I know Boozer didn't have the stuff that other power forwards had physically in the combine, but I think you're right. Cameron Boozer, in my opinion, is the overall best player in this draft because this is a 6'9" power forward that can shoot, defend, and just finish around the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I'm not a Duke fan, but I just watched the way this guy played in major moments, like when they played Michigan in the regular season, and when they were down big a couple times in the NCAA tournament, and nearly getting to the Final Four. I just watched the way he played in some major moments a couple times with foul trouble. I think that's a weakness he's going to have to clean up. Um, but this guy's been in some pretty big moments at Duke where every night all the spotlight is on you. So I just think he's poised to take the step in the NBA because of, and not only that, his dad, Carlos, having that resource there to help you, who's been there and done it as well. Yeah, I agree. This dude, yeah, I hope he stays healthy. We never know for sure, but this guy could be one of those guys that we talk about for a long time.
I hope it works out too because I think he can resolve the tension between Memphis and Ja Morant right now. Because Ja is still like I think 26 years old, but I think what they do is draft Cameron Boozer, try to keep Ja on the court as much as they possibly can, try to keep the whole team on the court as much as they possibly can, because Memphis has fought injuries the past couple years and suspensions the past couple years. But I think, and if they find a good coach, because the coach we have right now is not too good. I can't remember his name, but I don't like him. But I think if they can find a way to keep this team on the court, because I think the starting lineup next year with these guys will be Ja, Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells, Cameron Boozer, and Zach Edey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the best team, but it's definitely a stone, like probably a foundation. It's a good foundation lineup, but I think they try to run with John Boozer, see how it works by the trade deadline, and if it doesn't work out, I say they move on from Jaw and build around Cameron Boozer,
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
especially after losing Triple J. I think Boozer would be a good, I think Boozer would be a good replacement too. I don't know if this is why Memphis traded him, if they were going to take a gamble on being a top 10 pick in this year's draft, but that's what I think.
Agree.
I think that's all.
You good?
I'm all good.
All right. Thanks, folks.